Bam! Everybody, hello, and welcome back to Karandrin. My name is Kevin Manus Pennings, also known as Cracked Palantir, and this is episode 92 of Brise's Tale. And as always, my good buddy Brise, my good buddy Max, is here to play the beautiful and talented paladin Brise. Max, say hello to the lovely people.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this Monday. A little bit different from our schedules, but thanks for accommodating us as usual.
Yeah.
Hectic life stuff always calls, but yeah, today is going to be hopefully a very exciting session
Yes, and tell us why that would be.
because we are exploring a massive temple, temple of the Iron Empress, long over 5,000 years ago. This faith was practiced in surrounding regions, in this temple that was built here, some 3 stories tall, built into the side of a mountain, and the entrance is giant snake's maw walking into. Very dramatic, very cool. And so yeah, my duty is to kind of clear out the temple, make sure it's safe and free from undead and other creatures that might have made a home here, so that later on the actual temples and authorities can come in and sanctify it properly, or at least reclaim it in the name of the current gods.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the maw that is the entrance to the temple. It's an open snake's maw, and it's I mean the thing is the size of a football field, pretty easily a little bigger than that. I think I've done the math on that correctly. And it's um, it's got you're camping right now. I mean, we got to roll your wake up stuff, as I recall. And or did we already do that? Your
Um,
morning rolls. Have we done that?
Embolden, sneak. Oh, yeah, I think we said we set up camp here, but yeah, we need to do the rolls. Yeah, you're right.
So, um, the temple is overgrown. The far side of it, has taken damage a from numerous rock slides over the years coming down off this hill. The Iron Empress is presented as a sort of a beautiful woman with these sort of wavy daggers. It's modeled after I believe it's an Indonesian dagger called a Kris. And so here in the temple, the mouth is open, and the fangs themselves are the wavy daggers.
Yeah.
And you can see that they're actually, in fact, columns that go all the way, they go halfway down, and then there's crystal clear sort of glass or something supporting them the rest of the way. So they're actually columns, but it appears
Cool.
that the fangs, are hovering in air as they would from the mouth.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
It is 3 stories, with the exception of there are towers. There are 3 towers that constitute a 4th and a 5th story. But there are 3 towers, one on either side and one in the back. We know that the cardinal directions are very important to these people. That was something I was going to look up because I have them written down, but I can never
Yeah,
remember.
that's right. They did place statues and cardinal.
Yeah, and so of course it's going to be, in keeping with it. So this is oriented. I should keep that one out. That is you. There it is. Right, there we go. Yeah, so right. So it faces the maw, the entrance faces the west, which is the direction associated with Wanbre, the
Right.
Iron Empress. And you'll hear those names interchangeably, Iron Empress or Wanbre. Um, So the other three deities that we know about and we've seen represented, this was a very bird-oriented. Birds were very important to this people, and so we know that there's an eagle, a swan, and an owl. And the eagle would be to the east, the swan to the south, the owl to the north. And so these temples are oriented in those towers are oriented in those directions. And of course, there's no temple, there's no tower for the Iron Emperors. It seems to be the Maw is representing them. Um, so let's do the whole camp thing. Let's
Yeah.
do going to bed and so on.
We should
Uh,
also mention that we did roll up some loot between
oh
last session.
yeah,
We came across
yeah.
quite a number of items. So if you want to see that, jump to Kevin. You might want to send the links in the chat.
Oh,
Jump,
thanks.
jump to my notes. You can see
Yes.
all the newfangled items I came across.
Yeah. So, guys, as always, and I've been forgetting to mention this generally, but in the description of the video, but also in the chat, we post links to his actual notes. You see him actually type his personality sheet and various other things, so that you can actually go there and see exactly what he's typing in and so on. So, is there any particular items you want to mention that you found among that? It was a destroyed wagon, right?
Yeah, yeah. I do want to mention the some cool ones. We got a chain here, a self-linking, self-unlinking chain, which there's some technicality to it, but essentially this 10-foot chain. Once I attune to it and kind of stay in contact with it for a few hours, I can link and unlink the chain at will. So I can tie someone around a tree or hold something down and kind of doesn't need any lock. Yeah, it doesn't need any security. It's pretty useful item. And then also this, we're going to try to attune to this ring of regeneration, possibly in a moment here, which will hopefully keep me from dying, which I tend to do a lot. So
Yeah, heals you 2 hit points every turn.
great.
Yeah. So, so I figured if I mentioned in the email I sent you about that, about the limitations with bleeding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm bleeding at 2 points around and the ring is healing me at 2 points,
Right. You're still losing fluid. So
I'm
essentially,
still taking harm. Yeah. However,
yeah.
we do the math there. We'll figure that
Yeah. So it's going to be very strange. I mean, you'll just get weaker and weaker, but still be, what we'll do is we'll keep account of how much blood loss you have without changing your hit
Sure.
points. And you'll
Yeah.
still suffer the penalties for all of that until you just pass out because you basically bled yourself dry. It
Right.
doesn't matter. You're not feeling pain and shock, although technically shock
Right.
is, my dad told me this. Shock is when the abdominal bed of vessels, of blood vessels, relax.
Yeah.
You go into shock.
And they can't.
Hold pressure.
And the longer you stay in it, the worse it is for your body. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that effects.
So that's a weird limit to that ability because it can't just
Yeah.
produce. It can encourage healing, but it can't reproduce blood.
And the way to think about that hit points is like literally how many hits can you take. It's like not a measure of your health necessarily. It's more of a measure
Right.
of
Yeah. Rollmaster Second Edition, which Karandrin is based on, they describe it as shock and pain.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so like all of the healing herbs that just do hit points, they really call them pain relievers.
Right. Right.
Which is kind of, I mean, it's interesting, right? But clearly there's got to be some magical, like literally mending of tissue.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think.
It's a loose kind of system.
Yes, yeah, I mean, which is fine, right?
That's what makes
It,
it fun.
yeah. All right, so you make camp um, um, a bit away, maybe 100 yards away from the
Yeah. From the
from
entrance.
the entrance. Um, if there are things coming and going out of this temple, um, um, the wizard Fraldrum, that's your good friend who scouted the place first, didn't
Right.
find any,
Right.
didn't observe them if they were coming and going. But probably just on the safe side, you would probably not just camp right at the mouth.
Right.
So we're going to put you some ways back, and then you go to sleep.
Well,
Uh,
so let's do a quick disguise camp as well.
yes, I thought you'd already done that. Was that a different time?
Yeah, I had done that in the mine.
Okay.
So that again here. Remember which level spell that is. Level 3. Shouldn't be a problem. 85. Me and
No
my
problem.
horse are disguised well. And then I'm just going to try to attune to this ring.
Okay.
So I've got a potion of attunement, actually, and I'm going to drink that, and then
Okay.
give it a try.
All right. Roll it up.
Here we go. It's a 59.
You have a ring of regeneration, sir.
Glad I have those potions. Fantastic.
That's interesting. I put asterisks beside every skill that you have a magic item for, and I'm gonna have to put this one next to your hit points.
Yeah,
Isn't that weird?
yeah. Just to remember the bonus to hit point. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to do before retiring for the evening?
No, and we'll relax and go to bed.
All right. So I'm going to do a roll for activity that night. Huh. You are awakened by a warm light in your face. You come to, and the Fey female that you spoke with earlier.
Yes,
That's the
indeed.
what were they called? I can't remember. Billborn. The Billborn.
Born Fae, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And this one, I think, had a name. You're rolling that up.
Hmm.
Hallex, Hallex. Hallex the Fae.
Right. And Hallex is of the Billborn Fae. The Billborn Fae. Why don't you describe them to the folks who may
Yes, they're imagine a tiny kind of fairy-like creature. They have a body that's like a nut, and they tend to disguise as whatever nut they are hanging from a tree. They're generally benevolent, although they can be a little. They like to play pranks every now and then. So I give this one an offering of food, and it noticed a couple of evils, tailing me or having their eye on me. We had a brief conversation
right.
this day about Volshad. We learned is probably in this valley, or at least visiting it occasionally.
Right. Hallex, probably 4 inches high or so,
Right.
stands before you, a light emitting from a palm. She's maybe a foot away from your face as you sleep. Roll for me.
93.
You think, how did she find me so easily?
Yeah.
Um,
True.
and she says, I'm sorry to disturb you, but I felt that a message in person was what you were due, given your kindness. The elders have rejected any further involvement
Mm.
in your journey. I argued as best I could for your case, but they are understandably wary of your kind.
Okay.
I will say this on my own behalf. There is a lizard like creature in the temple, larger than your horse, that has a curious ability to spray a woven material from its tail. Do not take fright at the creature. If you leave it alone, it will leave you alone.
Okay.
You will find it on the first floor of the structure, toward the back.
Four. Near the back. Okay. When I say leave it alone, I assume I'll keep good, 30 feet away from it, or should I? Is that good enough?
It will attempt to ensnare you if you approach.
Okay.
Simply watch for its agitation, and you'll know that you've approached too close. I can't believe you've got how many pages of notes?
A small novel, basically. I've got
Two.
179 pages, and the word count is 55,000
That
words with
is
just from streaming as well.
wow. That's crazy. Um,
Boy, we got Control F, baby, and find all these names and characters and concepts. And
yeah, it's really nice.
very helpful. Okay, so I was also gonna. So this doesn't sound like the another lizard creature that was extremely dangerous that came across on the way here. This
I
sounds
mean,
different.
there's the hammer worms.
No, it was. Remember, it was like more dangerous than a troll. Was like basically how they described it.
Oh,
Kurt perched in a tree.
oh
Uh,
no, nothing.
old tree. Yeah, there's nothing like the old tree.
No, nothing like that. Um, um,
Okay, so yeah, no, I think Hallex and bid them farewell. Don't want to get you in any more trouble with your elders. Then
she thanks you for understanding, wishes you well. Um, and then again, the nut shell on her back opens like a beetle, and wings appear, and she flutters out.
mm-hmm.
Um,
So she probably did find me because of that connection, right? She sees the line between me and Volshad. I wonder if
that's
that's how
possible. I guess it depends on the range of such vision.
it's true. Yeah, yeah. She
Um,
would have well, she knew I was going toward the temple too. So.
right. That's certainly true. Um, unlike your
Okay.
usual lies. That is certainly true. So
Full of lies.
that's right. Um, so you fall back asleep. So your give me three rolls.
3 rolls, 60,
Okay.
29, and 53.
So still feeling a little worse for wear when you wake.
Yeah.
You wake at the typical hour of pretty well just after dawn.
Right.
Um, your um, um, what was it? Oh, and you have no particular dreams of significance. which kind of surprises you in a sense. You think she'd be
Yeah. Reach out.
knocking on your door. Roll for me.
Knock, knock, knocking on Juan Bray's door. 94.
Okay, interesting. So, of course, you remember um, the dream you had before
Yes.
um, with where you were at a party. You
Mhm.
remember the Iron Empress is there. You are being awarded, um, and you're being awarded by Mia Grawl, Lady Mia Grawl, and to a lot of acclaim. You're receiving accolades and an
Right.
award and so on. And sort of as you're thinking about, hey, did I have? I guess I didn't have a dream last night. You're thinking about the dream you did have, and
Right.
a detail pops up in the dream, and it is that's interesting. The chat, the chat dot has changed color. Hi, it used to be red, and now it's blue.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, Obi-Wan, when you wake up. That is the famous phrase in Karandrin for, my God, that phrase has such a history in Karandrin. Like, I mean, like 30 years worth of history behind that phrase. Um, so there was an elven female staring at you in the background. Not 35, Obi-Wan. Um, and there was and their hands were chained, and it was like it was behind the Iron Empress,
Hmm.
just past her, some distance away. There were a few people in between you. They were staring at you very hard. This female elf seemed to be of some age. um, Short for an elf, but broad shouldered. Her style of dress seemed um, uh, hardly modern. In fact, you
Wearing a tweed.
know you've seen it before.
Seen
You
the
know,
dress.
yeah.
Huh.
Had some weird reverb there for a moment. Um, and it comes to you in a flash because I rolled a double aught. Um, One of the females at that overgrown village, the spirits.
Oh, the candles. Yeah.
Why don't you give the folks a rundown of that experience?
Um, yeah. So oh, that is interesting if that's the case. I came across, got a little bit lost on the way to the temple and came across a long, long abandoned village. Like we're talking, the houses are sinking into the ground. And you hear this moaning sound emanating from deeper within the village. So I, do a little bit of scouting and come across this large candle. I can't remember how high it was. About
It
came up
was
to
it
like
was on a thick candlestick. It's a
yeah, burning
fat
with a
candle.
blue flame and chained with ghostly chains. 10 or 11 spirits with these distorted faces, these um, very expressions of like
Almost
sadness and despair.
almost like Edwin Monk. The
Yeah,
Scream.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, had a conversation with these people. Spoke an older, a different form of Elven than I was used to, but had a conversation. They were chained there by Volshad,
Let's
and
put her info up.
yeah, and Volshad. specifically was seeking the aid of um, their leader, their shaman, someone of power, like among their village, and I guess chained the rest of them up, for use later in whatever purpose. And yeah, so I was tempted to free them, but they warned me any way I interact with the candle could summon Volshad there. And so, we decided to. They've been there for years and years. Um, so we decided to leave them for now, but definitely something to come back to. Could be a good, interesting surprise on Volshad if we, draw her to there and then ambush her.
Right.
Interesting. But anyway, so yeah, this lady might be one of the members standing by the candle, or at least from that era, right? If we
Right. Her face is not distorted, though. That's the only thing that
right,
bothers you about that theory. But again, it could be distorted by the dream. Maybe you've attached a face of someone you know. I mean, there's all kind of possibilities.
chains, is she like handcuff chains or like chains like to the candle?
Uh, the chains seem similar. That is, they're ghostly in appearance,
Okay,
but they are like more like handcuffs, like manacles to her. They don't seem to extend
right,
anywhere.
right.
Um,
That's very unsettling. After an already kind of unsettling dream,
yeah.
I missed that detail. Which makes
Um,
me think next time I do have a dream and I have any agency, I'm going to look more closely at the crowds and other people.
right. Pay attention to detail as best you
Mm.
can. Do you
Wow.
ever like go through your day and like something happens and then you go, "Oh my gosh, I dreamed something similar." Like you couldn't remember it at
Yes.
waking, but
Yes.
something true. Oh man.
I
Oh
get a deja vu like that where I'm like, wait, I remember having a dream like that
yeah.
recently. Yeah, but I didn't remember it at the time of waking.
I have a weird thing that happens. I may have told you this before, but hey, random internet people haven't heard this story. Why am I telling it? But here's what my brain does. So like let's say something happens in the dream or there's a fact established in the dream that isn't true in real life. This instance was my wife was working at this new job. Well, that wasn't what her job was, right? As soon as I go, wait, is that where she works? Instantly my dream will create a backstory to explain it.
Mm.
And my dream character will remember that backstory. Oh, that's right. She did this. And it's it does it instantly. I talked to my therapist. I was like, you do that too, right? He goes, I have never heard of it.
Wow, that's funny because I have that a little bit where I will be like, that doesn't make sense, and then suddenly, like a moment later, I'm like, there's memories that are like implanted into my dream self.
That's
I'm like,
what it
oh, of course,
exactly.
that's why, yeah,
Right.
but never like consciously. I've kind of like thought about
Yeah, it's so weird. I've had it happen once so powerfully that when I woke from the dream, it took me a moment
it.
to
Yeah,
decide which was real.
right.
And that was very unnerving. That was very unnerving.
The Iron Empress is visiting your dreams. Jeez,
Exactly. Been working on this NPC too long. That's what's going on. So
like Stephen King.
that's right. Um, so yeah, you wake
Okay.
the your horse is fine. Well, you do have your horse, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So grazing, letting Alani hunt. You eat a meal, um, and
We'll gear up and
I thought you said Europe. I get you gear up. I'm with you now. I'm with you. Um, so hop back to our Iron Empress thing. I think that'll be more relevant as we go on. Um, it's also relevant to know that the Iron Empress is sort of a goddess of death, portrayed sort of menacingly, but also sort of as a liberating figure.
right,
Life, we know in this theology, life is portrayed as a maze of walls and hedges and things like this, and she is depicted as someone with a promise of freedom from the maze.
Hmm.
which of course, if life is a maze, then death is your freedom from the maze.
Right.
And we have sort of reasoned that the snakes, represent a snake's ability just to climb over and through things and
Right.
making a maze irrelevant.
Right.
Um, so, um, so you gear up. What do you want in your hands? I guess you've got noted what you're leaving behind.
Yep. Yeah. So I've got bolas and daggers at my belt, marked here in my sheet, and then I'll have my target shield on my offhand and my spear of the north in my left hand.
Okay. I was going to ask you something else. I can't remember what I was going to ask you. Um,
Forgetting things.
oh wait, you've got. Do you want to go in, or do you want to wait for the Trinidos?
Oh, is it today?
I think that's
Oh,
today.
it is today. Yeah. But yeah, let's I'm obviously excited to do this and Brees is very impatient, but we'll wait as long as I can, for the Trinidas to make an appearance and
All right, roll for your
all of
patience.
our viewers have to wait a little bit longer too.
That's right. That's what we're going to string people along. That's our main job here.
Rolling for patience.
Yes,
65.
65. Where's your number? Well, um, you're just pacing back and forth. You've been waiting for several minutes, close to an hour.
Mhm.
And then the beautiful green portals of the flower people open, and this sort of floating, viney figure with flower for a head floats through, and on uh, riding on one of these viney limbs are the tiny winged deer um, of the Trinidos. Um, they come to you and ask in that chorus, that musical chorus of voice, of many voices. They ask you, how do you fare, daughter of man?
I mentioned that unfortunately the curse on me has seemed to have gotten a little bit worse as I have gotten closer to this temple here. But otherwise, I'm in one piece. Couldn't ask for much more.
They seem to peer over at the temple. They alight, land on your shoulder, looking behind you to study the temple. Um, they say the temple is certainly trouble enough,
Mm-hmm.
but the author of the curse resides here in the valley.
Right. I mentioned I know this actually, and it was the Billborn Fae who told me that I came across one of their kind. You might know them.
There is this crescendo of the chorus.
Hmm.
You have never heard them make such a joyful noise.
Wow.
It is uh, it is the first time you have felt like you're flying when you know you're not flying. Um, the Billborn live. The voice says over and over and over again. We thought they had all been slain. They certainly were killed by the Makara when they passed through our region, and we could find them no more.
Yeah, ask what creature would try to kill Faye. What reason?
The Makara are themselves Fae.
Oh, okay.
They are also known as the Mosslings. You've not heard either term. I went ahead and rolled for you.
Yeah.
But there was a war among the Fae far to the north of here. Before the Elven Kingdom spread to the mountains. The Makara are treacherous and foul. We had feared them all dead. But you say now that at least some reside in this valley.
Yes. I spoke
How,
with one. Yeah.
how many? What are their numbers?
I don't know. I tell the Trinidas that they seem to fear me and didn't, I made friends with one, but I don't think they're going to approach me again. Um, I guess their colony, advises against it.
Most Fae are wary of the big folk. The Trinidas have such power over their domain that we approach whom we choose.
Mm.
It is not always true among the Fae peoples.
I guess I will say I did see a procession of lights that one night. And so I'll mention, I did see a procession of some, a score of lights.
I rolled for your memory for it. You rolled a 149. You were killing it for memory rolls.
Wow. There were 30 lights.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, yeah, I mean, you're like, yeah, it's, 12, 15, something like that. I mean,
Pretty precise.
we must reestablish contact. This is joyous news.
I say that I think they will be interested to meet you as well. They said a similar sentiment, expressed similar sentiment.
Except they called you guys racist. I don't know.
They called you the Trini. Trini.
The Trini Bossy.
That sounds so offensive. A Trini.
I guess trainee, right? I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind was.
Yeah.
We're gonna sit here think of every human racist term that we can warp into the word Trinidas, right? Um, um, that's really hard. Oh, I do have one.
I have one, but I'm afraid to say it. I don't
No, there's but I can't remember what group it applies to. It's a white group. It's a white European group. The Guineas. Who are the Guineas?
Oh
Was that
yeah,
Italians?
that's yeah. It sounds Italian.
I
Um,
can't remember. Anyway, it's hardly yeah. It's that much work for that little laugh is not worth it. And I apologize to all my Southern European brothers. So, um, um, they warn you that um, there is an alert set upon the mouth of the temple.
oh, okay.
Who watches such a thing after so many years, they do not know. But it has the feel of the same author as your curse.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
Well, if it alerts,
I mean, yeah, if they might not show up, but
well, or they may, I mean, if they do, well, then you can kind of just say, well, look, I was exploring, and,
right, right. I mean,
you have a relationship with them. I don't think it's going to end in, you know what I mean? I don't think it's going to end
with
instantly in a,
Volshad,
and what now?
with Volshad.
Well, if she is indirectly, yes.
Right. Yeah, that's true. We theorized that Volshad could be allied with the Iron Empress,
Right.
which I also am at least feigning, an ally with the Iron Empress. So
Right. So you're right.
Volshad,
It is
I
based on that theory.
yeah, Volshad doesn't know I was the one who burned down. And they might still not know it's been burned down, but burned down their base at the Four Wells.
Hmm.
So that's they show up. I'm like trembling. It's like I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't. I didn't burn up what happened to the Four Wells. But like,
you you're working on pulling out the tooth from the. Well, oh hey, I was just little dental work. I was just straightening it up. Your temple
I
needs braces. Okay.
yeah, it needs braces. Just like a big like chain. Oh, my 10-foot chain. There you go.
That's funny. You just need a
um,
door to close really quick. Yeah. Pull that tooth out.
I asked the Trinitas that the magic um, you say is similar. Do you like sense where that magic is in the valley? I know there's a village um, a ways from here. Can you see that connection um, between the curse?
The Billowborn told you this, yes?
Yes.
It is a natural ability of theirs. For us, it
Oh,
is much more difficult. But I would trust what they say if they treated you kindly.
right. Okay. Um, so in terms of that, then I'll ask about any news from the vetch about the situation there. I think last we heard was that no real movements on
How long was that? How long ago was that?
the 30th, May 30th, and now it's June 6th.
Right.
So
So it's
no
basically.
progress with the Philistines' plans, um, but there's still tensions between the Philistin and Averdal. So Chelbrick is still some player in their plans, but they weren't sure to what extent.
Our observations are that more Philistine, I should put their caption up,
Yeah.
their definition, that the Philistine now a greater number of them march to the north, which
Mm.
is where we believe they took the body of the great demon.
Yeah.
We think that there is a meeting soon to be had. But curiously, a good number of them also are gathering in the south in a clearing that we cannot help think might be a place for a future fortification.
Mm.
It commands a great view of the valley in which it's located. And the fear of the Philistine seems to have spread to all manner of creature. And here we see a great many of the woodland creatures fleeing in terror. There may come a great building on that site, a great project that will mark a new era for the Vetch and a new power in the region.
Nice. Interesting. Gonna build a ghost fortress. Well, I guess they were halfling. It'll be a very short fortress. um, okay.
Averdal has been informed of this,
Mm.
and he has asked us to keep watch, as it's too distant for his own men to reach with any safety.
Yeah.
I will say this to you. Averdal is a big person of great heart and great courage. And should you ever need aid from him,
Mm.
I'm certain he would give it.
Good to know. Okay. Um, so let's see. So one thought I have, and I bring this up with the Trinitas, it's I suppose so creatures are fleeing the Vetch. I suppose that means perhaps some of its inhabitants, human or otherwise, will also perhaps migrate out, which might be for the best.
Those
Uh,
communities are too far away
mm,
to yet feel this growing terror. It occupies but a single valley
oh, I see.
and spreads perhaps a mile in all directions.
Mm,
If there are lone hunters or wanderers of your people, then I suppose yes, they would be driven mad with terror and nightmares and feel at least a great unease and wish to leave. But the land is too desolate and uninhabited of your kind. And perhaps that's one of the reasons they chose this valley.
mm. Probably more secretive.
Averdal has suggested also that it may be that the valley was chosen because it has some form of resource that we have yet to uncover.
Mm.
And our observations continue to see if that is the case.
This is grim news. Unfortunately, again, it doesn't seem like there's anything we can directly do to stop it.
Right. I mean, it's
To gather enough force to, put a stop to whatever this is happening down
right.
Southern Valley would be.
And it's
I guess when they say a large gathering, right? Some thousands of
in which gathering are we talking about?
the southern,
The southern one.
yeah, hundreds of thousands. Can Trinitas count? I don't know.
The only count up
Are they
to
like are they like rabbits from
Watership Down.
down? They count to 5 and that's it. That's too much. Too good.
That's right. There's what is it? There's was a tribe. I'm not sure they still exist. It was a tribe in the Amazon that didn't have any concept of numbers. It was they sort of had more or less or like not enough and plenty. And they were in a particularly bountiful area of the Amazon. And so they were this this was like in the I want to say early 20th century, like 1920s, 1930s. The article was fascinating. He went down there and he's like, okay, I can, so he learned about this limitation. I don't want to say, I'm not sure when he say limitation, this fact of their language and
Right.
ability to conceive. And so he attempted to teach them, I'll just teach them to count. So he tried to teach the adults to count and they could not get it. Because you know what? It's probably a brain developmental thing, right? They've got all this information and it's just too hardwired now. I'll start with the children. So he attempts to do the children. They could not grasp it.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And so his theory was that there was such bounty, there was never any reason to worry about how much of anything.
Yeah. Counting is for your precision is mostly
and planning.
Yeah.
And there was really no need to plan.
Right. How many days, until X, Y.
Right. We run out. And, how many mouths are there to feed? So how many meals do we need? How many gallons of water do we need? And
how many people are here?
When you learn that kind of thing, and there's several other examples of it where like language, the brain affects the language and language affects the brain. And it is a very complex interplay. And when you come across one that really has some concepts alien to your own, it's you feel your brain grow. You feel yourself. Whoa.
Yeah, I always think of it very mathematically, where it's like to have more, you need to have a quantity, right? And that needs to be measurable. But here we are. It's like you can have more or less without being able to measure how much is there. It's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it is to show you the degree to which you take things for granted,
right,
and your own way of thinking and so on.
Right.
But anyway, enough of my hobbies that pollute this.
Rich.
And thank you. Bless your heart. He said there are many hundreds to the south. Perhaps upward to 1,000. The north is perhaps less than that, half or so. And there are others, of course, scattered about. Not all the tribes seem united in either of the actions.
Mm-hmm.
But there are at least 2 tribes that are firmly behind both the northern action and the southern action.
Right.
There is some debate among our people and Overdals about if they were to build, in what manner would they build?
Right.
They have some ability to wield weapons and tools, but what skills remain among them to do so, and to harvest stone and form brick, cut down timber
Right. And
as
do it in like planned architecture. Yeah, it's very it's a lot of questions.
the Fae have no such need of such things.
Mhm.
Um, Nature provides us all that we need, and by cooperating, we achieve it. The big peoples, both living and dead, have always attempted to master nature, and here, perhaps, is what will stop the Philistine. But of course, we will continue to watch.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have further news for us?
I don't think so. I did maybe want to mention Wanbray. I'm not sure what question I might ask them. Well, I might even pose. They seem like a third party, and I'm kind of dealing with this moral kind of quandary of right now. So I'll pose the question to the Trinitas. There's a I point to the temple, and the being this temple is devoted to has appeared to me in my sleep, in my dreams, and asks for my aid. And I guess the way is I try to what I'm trying to do is fool them into thinking I'm loyal to them, but it's been I'm wary of what repercussions may come of that. Um, and I guess what I'm asking for is, um, do you know like the nature of them and their powers? This can't remember if I've mentioned the Philistine before, the Iron Empress. I'll describe them in brief. Um, this being the Iron Empress.
Hmm. We are familiar with the God concepts of the big peoples.
Mm,
What we have not seen is that the gods act other than through the big peoples,
mm,
which is not to say the big people's gods do not exist. It is to say that they act, it appears, solely through their followers,
mm.
as best as we can determine. The temple there was built by the big peoples. The magics that emanate from there have the flavor of the big peoples, their mark, their signature.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not to say the great powers have not powered them, have not driven them to do so,
Mm.
did not guide them to do so. Certainly, you must at least be wary of the follower, if not of the god itself,
Right.
themselves. But all evil, whether it be Philistine or God or the big people, can only be toyed with so far
Mm.
before you either are destroyed by them or you join them.
It's a
For other Trinidas TED Talks, tune in to no.
Just like a little tiny Trinidad's and like a microphone, like in the big.
Just perched on the microphone. You know, do you see the Bill Gates TED Talk where he released the 2 mosquitoes with malaria into the crowd?
Oh, what?
That's how it starts. He opens a container and he's like, "Well, these 2 mosquitoes have malaria." He goes, "I don't see why the poor should be the only ones to suffer." And he
What?
goes,
Wow.
and he says, "I'm kidding, of course. Those 2 mosquitoes do not have malaria."
Right. Okay.
But he was just making a point. Like, this is a
Yeah.
problem of the poor, and that's why it gets ignored.
Right. Right. No, I see what he's saying. Yeah. They live in fear every day that a mosquito will
Yeah.
carry some deadly disease. All right. Well, I think thanks for your advice, and I'll try to figure this out on my own, not get killed in the process.
Meet again in 7 days,
Another
say
week. Yeah.
morning.
It'd be the 13th.
Okay. Should make my own little notes about that. Oh, excuse me. Oh, wait. Sorry. Shift gears. So they float back to the flower people. The flower people open their great green light of a portal into that strange liquid realm
Mhm.
that they sort of use as both home and highway. Kind of proud of that phrase. And then it closes and they're gone. Um, so here we are, mid morningish. And I think it's a good time for a break. And we will
Yeah.
plunge into the temple.
I swear we will explore this temple. I promise you,
It's going
everybody.
to be a lot. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So, gang, we're going to go stretch our legs and freshen our drinks. We hope you'll stick with us while we do that, and we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll get Brise into the temple and see what there is to be seen. So, just bear with us for a few minutes. Hi, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us. There's our good buddy. Hide that out. So we're just had a conversation with the Trinidos, and they updated us on what's happening in the Vetch. Some disturbing news regarding the undead race called the Philistan that are gathering in force in two different regions of the Vetch. This hilly, largely uninhabited area between the nation of the Elves, called the Elven States, and the Manish nation to the south, called the Axia. Although I guess I mean, the region is largely lies in the Elven States. Um, so here we are at
Yeah.
the temple of the Iron Empress, this
So
ancient
yeah,
ancient goddess of an ancient pantheon. We learned about her through the enormous saga of the demon sorceress Verilag. It was her people at least 5,000 years ago were worshiping this this four god pantheon. And sorry, gosh, my stomach's not happy.
what did you eat in the break?
During the break, I had 6 sticks of pepperoni. No,
3 steaks.
that's right. That's right.
Mm.
And I was tempted to get some chicken fried steak while I was out today, but I was good. I did not do it. I love a good chicken fried steak. So,
Yeah.
um, so let's go
First
back.
thing-
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. So I was gonna say, so spear and shield got in hands here. So this alert spell, or not alert, watchful strength, whatever alert it
Right.
is.
It is some sort of spell that sends information to its caster. You know,
And so all what we're going to do is if Volshot does make an appearance, just feign, being an adventurer, set to, trying to explore this place, heard about it from the town of Validate. So
are you going to bring up the fact that you are an ally of the Iron Empress?
yes. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Just basically explain it as it is. She's appeared to me in dreams and offered me a lot of opportunities and tried to make me an ally, and I've accepted that thus far. Kind of the effect. I'll do that too. So
Roll for me.
82.
So you begin your approach and roll again for me.
27.
And you stop and you go. The Iron Empress can penetrate my dreams, can uncover at least some of my memories and thoughts and things like
Right.
this. And somehow she doesn't know or is okay with me helping to defile her temple.
I've thought about that as well, but I didn't know what to make of it. So, um, yes, this is true. I'm walking right into this temple, weapons in hand, and
I
they've had
mean,
opportunities to stop me.
roll for me.
33.
Hmm. Yeah, you remain flummoxed.
Yeah, I mean, this place is important to her because she has guards, and patrols.
We're in the valley, but where are the
Right.
guards here?
True, actually. So maybe this isn't as of importance to her as other other locations. Hmm.
Well, that's an interesting point. Are there other locations then that are
Yeah.
more important?
Yeah. Is there a more important place? Like, sure, this temple was built for her devotion, but is there some center of power or something that she's guarding?
Like her, maybe she's directed her limited resources to it, you know.
Right.
Um, I mean, she has patrols, but again, I don't know. I mean, it is a
Right.
very weird.
Yeah. She also didn't balk at, the whole me dismantling the cult, and again, if she can see my memories, partly, it seems like she would come across that.
I
Um,
mean, it's almost like a sacrifice move in chess.
right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Taking a gamble. Yeah. It's like Brees, this individual can be much more powerful than some small cult, run by,
Right. That was
no.
already maybe falling apart from infighting,
Yeah.
right? As we suspect it was about to.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's a really weird thing. I mean, I guess the other argument that may have occurred to you is maybe she does not have the full.
Yeah.
What's the full? What is the word?
Oh,
She does.
omniscience.
Well, yeah, essentially, that she doesn't have full range of your mind. It's not the right phrase, but that's essentially the meaning. She's
Yeah.
not. She is not privy to all of your thoughts.
Right. And maybe
Uh,
she kind of makes herself seem that way. She is very
right.
good at, presenting as that figure.
Has she weakened over the years? You know. Roll for me.
28.
Man, you were rolling terrible.
I was
Uh,
doing great at the beginning.
you really were. This is
Yeah.
your comeuppance. Where are the other gods in this pantheon? Where is their stake in this game?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how this religion exactly works. It seems to be imbalanced. At least this Iron Empress is a
Right?
much
Maybe they are yet weaker over the millennia.
right.
Um, so yeah, it's weird, and it would suck if you were basically just, I don't know. I mean, obviously, one of the fears is that you're the pawn, right? I mean, of course, you're to some degree a pawn, right? Like she's obviously using you to some end. You just don't know. Oh, is it that bad of an end? Is
Right.
it?
Usually pawns in chess don't achieve much.
Well, I don't know. You'll get some arguments there from some chess.
That's true. What if I'm the one that gets turned into a queen? Oh,
The first non-goblin queen of the goblin nation of Nargaz. Um, um, but be that as it may, you look around. Roll for me.
30.
So there is no signs that you would expect for giants or trolls to have left ogres.
Yeah.
They were doing regular patrols of this. There are some game trails that lead here and there. Um, the stream does come relatively near here and there, and no doubt it was a source of water for the temple. The temple, as I said, is it's technically 5 stories, but the main body of it is 3, and there's 2 subterranean layers as per Fraldrum. Um, it's largely a rectangular building. As you approach, you do have the head at the beginning, right? But there's actually an awning that comes out and basically forms a porch on either side of the head, and there are benches out there now, long covered with litter and so on. There are numerous windows visible along the side that you're approaching, stretching back into the side of the mountain, the hill. Really, it's a really
Yeah.
steep hill within this valley. Um, the all the windows here are barred, um, although it's not a crude barring. It's a very decorative barring, but it's clearly to keep thieves out and keep keep just ritual items safe. And I mean from your own temple life, there's hey, that ceremonial dish they have, that's real gold. I mean,
Right.
I mean.
bit.
Yeah, I mean they take it out for ceremonies, but then it goes into a locked room with guards.
Mm.
There are items of value aside from just the general coffers of that local temple. Um, you had We had the discussion before, which is to say, in your own head, you were debating whether or not this serviced a community. Now, I just want to ask before you venture in, do you want to scout around to see if there are other ruins about, like maybe on the other side of the stream? Like, is there a community, ruins of a community here? Or are you going to just, proceed
Let's
in?
go. Let's go in. I think Brees is ready to explore the temple. That's a good note. I can explore around the temple as well. Look for that. Yeah.
Now, we did mention, and just to remind you that we talked about it before, that some temples are built as like retreats or refuges, maybe to hold very important conferences or very, very holy rites. Some pantheons, well, I shouldn't say pantheons, some faiths will build these special out of the way locations for very special purposes, and maybe that is the case here.
Right.
So
Right.
the building sort of has it has the three stories, and then it has sort of a peak in the front center. That appears to be um, some form of at least paned glass to some degree. I'm not going to surprise you if that is in fact the center sanctuary,
Okay.
and it lets light cast down below. The glass, what you can see of it, is tinted green and
Hmm.
seems to have a deliberately scaled appearance and must have a neat effect down on the floor below. Of course, it's largely covered in leaves, and things are now growing in the leaves as they do in mulch because it's mulch. Um, and there you have the towers, which are 2 floors higher. The tire, the three towers that top the temple, the top floor of it is open air.
Okay.
So it is covered, but there are no windows. It is a roof. It's almost like a gazebo on top of
Yeah.
these towers. Um, Roll for me.
Oh, sorry. One. I got distracted. A lot of people in chat. Welcome, Quinn, and welcome, Midnight Dawn.
Oh, hey, Midnight Dawn.
She, she called you old, by the way. Don't
I
look.
am so old. Um,
We were just saying, was it 30 years ago? The, the what was the phrase? When you wake up.
when you wake up, the
Many,
most
many.
unsettling phrase in Karandrin is "when you wake up," because I wasn't asleep, so something happened to knock me unconscious. Um,
It was a one
so
or whatever. Whatever
so
thoughts I was thinking of.
yeah. So the so it might be for there might be big braziers on the top to light, and I mean some sort of ceremonial purpose. And as we discussed, these towers mark the cardinal directions, with the exception of west,
Right.
because apparently the maw represents the west, as this is the temple of Wanbray, who represents the west. Um, what's Nilani doing?
Nalani is sticking close to me on
Okay.
my shoulder. Uh, so looking inside, does it look like light is kind of coming through? What do I see inside?
Are you all the way up to the mall? You want to approach? You're at
Yes.
the okay. It's time for me to bring up my little map. Um, so, um, and zoom in.
And what kind of sidebar is going on between Quinn and
It's never
okay,
good.
naughty evil Zoot?
Um, so you approach cautiously.
Mm-hmm.
And as you step within about 30 feet of the maw, you actually can feel the alert magic
Okay.
in the area. It gives you a little tingle that you can feel, and you're like, "That's interesting." Is that because it's really powerful, or is that because you know
Yeah. Somebody.
um, the very front, which is has the benches and so on. There are three. Let me make sure I've got this right. Yeah, you're approaching from that side. So you can see three windows. Like I said, they're all barred. The very front with the maw, um, there aren't any windows there. The doors are these heavy, 10-foot wide metal doors. Um, they have been hacked at.
Mm.
Um, they have been part of them have been sort of fires been set to them. Not in like if it was a serious attempt to burn it, it was the laziest serious attempt
Yeah.
you can imagine. Um, and in it there is on it, the doors they're using some bladed weapon or tool. There is lettering carved in, um, but it's not a language you understand.
I'll take on my spectacles of sophistication to read it.
So the language you suspect is Pen.
Mm.
That is to say, the language of the desert nations to the east, um, just over this range of mountains. And you suspect that because um, the names that are written there are Pen, and then it would say something like, well, one name, for instance, is Jadabar, and
Mm.
that you recognize that as a Pen name, a very common Pen name. And here it says Jadabar, comma, Lieutenant of the Temple. Um, and then below that, it it says um, General Fenric is your high priest. And it's all it's done basically defacing the door and so on, and you can see that the
Yeah.
the metal relief work of the door is depictions of um, the maze burning. There are also depictions of um, the eagle of this faith, the eagle god,
Right.
always represented as a larger than human eagle, sort of a great eagle,
Yeah.
um, talking to, almost seeming to bargain with the Iron Empress.
Mm.
Um, there are the same sort of hatchet work or tool work has been used sometimes to crudely make her breasts bigger. It's all this kind of just juvenile uh,
Yeah.
stuff. Roll for me.
You have goblins. 14.
Okay.
I'd seen
Uh,
something similar at the Goblin Manor. I remember goblins
right.
taking like the scenes of humans and just like inserted themselves
Right. Right.
in the
Why
dungeon.
do we need this? So the idea of that it's interesting to you that there are that there are benches here on a porch, right? And the porch is about 22 feet deep, narrowing down to nothing, sort of right, sort of triangular and taper down to the sides of it. But there are benches here on a comfortable porch here at this, temple of death and doom.
Right.
It's just very strange. So
Yeah.
sunlight spills through these open doors into a foyer that is 40 feet by 40 feet, quite a large room. Um, and um, there's just leaves and soil and sediment, not really sediment, I guess. But it's just the blown in leaves over centuries. And um, you can see that there are trails through it. Um,
Mm.
and then as it sort of gets to the rocky ground out below it, they kind of disappear. Not enough vegetation to sort of pound down.
Hmm.
Um, the walls still carry numerous religious depictions, but you take a moment, sort of standing at the door, and just kind of give whoever put that alert spell on there a chance to arrive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Um, and a vision comes to you.
Oh,
Um, it is in your mind, but it's very hard to sort of see past what is just in your mind's eye
right.
to reality. And so you actually find yourself leaning against like the outer wall of this
Yeah,
foyer,
I know that feeling. Yeah.
sort of anchor yourself and not, fall off
Right.
stumble off anywhere. It is the Iron Empress, and she says, I see you have found my old home. Were you going to tell me that you were going to visit?
I was in the area. um,
I'm
uh,
here just selling magazine subscriptions.
I
My band is trying to raise money.
I'll say honestly, I was not sure how you would react. I'll respond in my mind, whatever seems appropriate.
Sure.
Yeah.
I see.
I assume you might have already known. Yeah.
I have no objections. The place is long defiled, but you will find it emptied of worth, abandoned long ago.
Mm.
Only the vagabonds of this world and unnatural creatures make their homes here now. I value your life. It is not yet time for you to leave the maze. So do show some care as you explore my old home.
Uh, yes, I will make sure of that.
The lower reaches are particularly dangerous. Old magics have sat long there, but not without effect. If you dare, you can see what is drawn to them. Oh, roll for me.
62.
So you think, oh, I really need to pay attention to this vision just like I do a dream.
Ooh, okay.
So roll for me. Let's see what you see.
99.
Roll again and add it.
81. 180.
Wow. So the vision you're having is having a conversation with the Iron Empress. Her daggers are at her side. Snakes crawl around her harmlessly at her feet. But you are inside the temple. You are deep inside the foyer, where instead you're actually some 30 feet away from the foyer of the temple. Um, and um, but again, behind the Iron Empress is this elven figure, not
Okay.
very tall, somewhat aged. Assuming you trust your um, estimates of elven ages, always hard to tell.
Hard to tell between 200 and 300. It's
Exactly, or 700 and 900. Um, the chains are still apparent. Um, the Iron Empress moves as she's talking to you.
hmm
You really do have this sense of she walks around and is just always looking at you and smiling at you. And she is really quite lovely.
yeah,
But her movements are almost feline. And you just have the sense of being a plaything of a cat,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Um, but
Mm.
as she moves and turns, this elven woman is careful to stay out of the Empress's vision.
Interesting. I mouth to the woman. It's like,
call,
I will tell her you're there. Don't worry about it.
call me.
I'll just do that. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, no.
Right, what does that even mean? Um, pour a horn of mead into my ear. Well, it is Wednesday. No, that's my ritual. Um,
I need to be careful not to, look at them, too overtly. I
yeah,
will try to, restrain from doing that.
roll for me.
4.
Oh my God, roll again and subtract it.
Woo! Minus 100.
Roll again and subtract it.
Kevin, this is not what I needed. 14.
Minus 96, minus 110.
I don't think I've ever rolled
That is your
negative
lowest.
by
I can
100.
tell you that's your lowest roll, I think, ever in 3 years of
Wow.
play.
Well, everybody, I think it's time to end the session.
Don't worry, the Iron Empress will end it for you. No, clearly a flicker of sort of curiosity passes her face as she notices, but she doesn't sort of stop her. She doesn't make any effort to follow your gaze.
Right. Right.
Um, she seems disinterested. Perhaps she's just thinking you're taking in this vision, and so
Yeah.
that's why you're glancing behind her. But she doesn't seem to. Um, she doesn't seem to really take notice. The elven woman stoops and picks up one of the slithering snakes. And as she does so, it clearly becomes a wooden replica. And she shakes it in front of you and glances at her. She does it one more time, but then she's got to move, to keep out of the Iron Empress's vision.
Okay. Interesting.
You may know, the Iron Empress says, that I have minions at work in the valley.
Mhm.
They now know of you. And if you speak my name to them, the name of Wanbray the Maze Breaker, then that will be your password to safety.
A lot of layers of this conversation. I'm trying to keep track of everything.
Go now, but heed what I have said. I have more tasks for you to perform.
I say yes. All right.
It really is strange. You have sort of gone from one type of double agent to another, but I mean,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And again,
And
it's a female power figure.
when I'm also curious, I forgive me if I'm misreading what this is, but it almost seems like the Elven lady is trying to tell me that is this not a real figure, or is there something not genuine about? I don't know. The fact that it
Um,
became like a wooden replica, right? As if like
right.
makes me
And this elven woman, her hands are still chained.
right.
So she has to pick up with both hands, right?
Hmm.
Um, um, roll what your gut's telling you.
Yeah, sure. 29.
Yeah, not a good read. You just can't tell.
Yeah. I'm almost tempted to like pose a question to this figure, to see if there truly are the Iron Empress, but I don't know what like that would be.
Well, and is it helpful to out her or to force her hand? I mean, it's a weird thing too.
That's true. Well, she did promise that reward, so I might wait and see if that actually is delivered. Well, I could ask for it now. Just mention and is the reward I asked for it, or the reward you offered me last time we spoke. Is that still in your power to um, procure?
As Mia Grohl accepts me as the truest of the faiths, you will have everything and more that I have shown you. All of that is already underway. But for even greater glory, I must know too of this Lord Algret that you spoke of and what he most desires. As my followers have faded, so have my powers.
Hmm.
But you, my faithful, can walk among my new followers more easily than my giants, my ogres, my soldiers, or my harpies. Roll for me.
Yeah, I am tempted to do what you said, just to out her. 91. Quite.
You could chime in, or your necromancers.
Yeah, why not? That's a good. I feel like that's very much in Reese's character. I add that to the
Roll
end.
for me.
44.
A look of surprise comes to the Iron Empress's face. She says, "You are very clever. How did you know that the faithful Volshad now serves me? She has long been thought dead by the outside world.
Mm.
Tell me, what gave her allegiance away?"
I
Yo, mama. What?
can't answer that question. I want to answer that.
Well, truthfully, as it's in your nature, but also,
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember how I actually did stumble across that. Was that?
well, it is a theory.
Oh, it's a theory, right?
It's
No,
a
yeah.
theory.
So I just said I just put two and two together, noticing the presence of undead in this valley, and knowing that Volshad had resided in these parts to some extent. Two powerful beings sharing the same place probably would come to know each other.
Well, you are more clever than the fools she had for enemies. But just as you will receive your greatest wishes through faithfulness, so shall she.
I asked, what is it that Volshad wishes for?
What all great conjurers want: deeper and greater power. The smile on her face when she says that is so satisfied and delicious. Roll for me.
30.
Okay. Uh, Give me another roll.
38.
Okay. Well, the elven woman points to the Iron Empress, and you are going to have to control a gasp as you realize, because you've realized what she's signaling. So roll to control your face and exclamations.
I think Max knows as well, but 66. I'm dead.
That's funny. That is the famous critical. Sorry if I've missed comments, guys. I'm here looking at my map instead of the chat and stuff.
Are we saying that this figure who calls themselves the Iron Empress is Volshad?
Yes, we are.
I see.
And
Okay.
you have somehow the Volshad has the powers of, has mimicked the powers of.
An
I mean,
elaborate ploy. Oh my gosh. Okay.
um, and
Wow.
she is just relishing her plans to come.
Mm.
I didn't expect, well, I was trying to think of a way for this mysterious figure to signal you, and I can't hold back if there's an obvious way. And I was like, oh, there's a really successful way to do it. And you got that clue. So I really thought this would be weeks down the road. But again, it's sandboxed and I have to let it go.
Yeah.
Um,
She does like the Courage the Cowardly Dog, where she like transforms into different shapes and like.
Um, all right, so I'll give you another roll to make another, because every time you make a revelation, it does give you more information.
Yeah,
So make a roll, but it's going to be pretty high.
6.
That
That's pretty high.
look on your face when you delivered that line was so great. Um,
This has been a crazy roll this session. Yeah.
um,
Okay. Let me catch up with my notes.
so, I mean, a lot of terrible thoughts flood through your head, of course.
Mhm.
One is, I mean, you've already had one powerful magic wielding woman trap a demon. Is it possible? Is it remotely possible to trap a god? And you really recoil at that idea. I mean, that really is,
Yeah.
um,
Very wrong. Yeah.
even the thought of it. I mean, even the possibility of it. Like you have to reject the idea out of faithfulness to what a god is, setting
Right.
aside your own gods. Um, that's weird. That's a new thing too. What does that do? It won't tell me what it does. There's a new star function in the chat. I don't know what that does.
Find out.
I guess I favored it. Oh, pinned. It pins messages. Interesting.
Oh, you can pin the the notes and links.
Oh,
Don't know
right
how that works on YouTube though.
there.
'Cause no pinned message I see.
All right, I just pinned it. Social comments display here. Click on them to showcase on stream. Okay. So, um, certainly more likely is she's discovered tremendous magical powers in the past 23 years
Mhm.
to do it. Um,
Yeah, I mean, like to enter dreams and get all this. Oh, a lot of things are making sense now, though. Yeah, interested in Mia Grawl, making them an ally, or seeking power from them.
right.
They could be completely uninvolved with the cult in Balabry,
Seems unlikely.
or maybe like a fragment of it. They accidentally created this cult because of their posing as the Iron Empress or using the Iron Empress. Yeah.
Well, there's no there's why proceed upon just one front when you can proceed upon many, which
That's true. Yeah.
which
Maybe.
definitely begs the question of what's going on in Agrilat's, Albert's County to the
Right.
east. What is there a cult there? Are there royal followers, I should say noble followers in the court there? I mean, it begs a lot of questions. Um, um, I thought about holding on to this like artificially for the sake of the 100th episode.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Which I don't generally want to do that, but maybe for special episodes,
Yeah.
I'll play around with the timing of things. But once I thought, oh no, there is a strong way she can
Yeah.
signal it. I'm like, I think that'd be too
Yeah.
artificial,
Right.
um, and
Right.
so it's fine. It's certainly fun just to know. I mean, it's not going to go to waste.
Right. Right.
um,
For sure. Um,
so I know we didn't get much into the temple, but boy, did we get a lot.
yes. Well, so is this the end of the conversation, or
No, you
still?
can keep going, whatever you want to do. I mean,
I
I
think
just,
I'm done after I come to that realization because I don't want to accidentally give anything away, knowing my
yeah,
uh, tendencies. So
um,
know.
yeah. I mean, your anger is growing. just at this affront to the powers that be. Because you believe in most of the other gods. You've yet to encounter a god that you don't believe in,
Right.
but you're at the service and you've been devoted to this pantheon generally.
Mhm.
That is the pantheon of the four lands, which I should come up with an adjective for. But Oxir specifically,
Right.
you know, and okay, so that's your bailiwick, right? And other people have their bailiwicks, and you respect that. Of course, they have to follow their own,
Right.
the gods that faith
No
has
need for
allotted.
religious wars. Yeah. Just
Right, and so, but to have anyone sort of mock a god by
use their image. Yeah.
that's really hard for you to take. Um,
Right.
so, oh hey, Carl, hey buddy, thanks for stopping by, man.
Sorry, we're making you angry.
That's right.
Quite an emotional stream.
It is. I mean, it's sort of one of big reveals. So, um, yeah,
Yeah. Then as soon as they give me their leave, then I would
yeah,
sit there and process for a bit.
yeah. She says, again, heed my warning about the things that lie within the temple, and she says, she'll have um, a timetable for you to gather information about Lord Albert to the east.
Okay.
Um, because there too, a rich field of followers, remain to be harvested.
Mm-hmm.
And she disappears, and the elven woman remains for just a moment and bows to you. And wow, Obi-Wan, that I cannot believe you brought that. Wow, that chestnut out.
Car rule.
I'll explain that to you later, buddy.
Exclamation point.
Um, so, um, so it fades. She bows to you, manacled still, and then disappears. And you come to, you find yourself, you have gripped um, the outer wall of the temple so hard your fingers are bleeding. You are shakingly mad. You have torn away the vegetation that had grown along the walls as your hands just, you know,
Yeah.
um, and I mean, that your anger may just completely, um, completely undo you.
Right.
Um,
Right. And we'll find some pillows to punch.
you have pillars. You have pillars.
Scream to screaming.
Right, right. So yeah. Um,
Okay, I think
do we
that's a
want
good place to
a
call
good
it.
place to call it? All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it a night, gang. I've already put up, on the YouTube schedule. I've already put up. We're streaming again next Wednesday, our usual time at 7. So that'll be episode 93. We'll get Brise more fully into the temple as opposed to into the frying pan where she is now. Um, so thanks as always for watching. We really do appreciate it. We're um, yes, let the hate flow through you. Good night, Carl, buddy. It's good to hear from you. So as always, you can hop to our website, Karandrin.com, read some articles we've written and some things we're doing there. If you think we're doing a good job, hop to donorbox.org and send us a little love. We'll use it to pay for my headache treatments and update equipment and that sort of thing on the stream. If you want to hear more from Max, and I think we all do, then he has his own YouTube channel there. You can see the short link to it there, where he discusses the role of video game music and original soundtracks in video games. Thanks as always to Elliot Dunovitz for their terrific character art for Brise that we use every stream. You can find more of their work at www.artstation.com/Tortolua. And I've written a novel that I'm pretty pleased with. And so you can hop to Amazon and take a look at that. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. Carl, say goodbye to these lovely people and tell them we'll see them next Wednesday.
Carl, what? Why does Carl
Oh,
get to say goodbye?
sorry, Carl. Say goodbye. No, sorry.
Carl, get on
Next
here.
time, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Crazy fun session. Crazy twist. Next week, we will definitely be exploring this temple, though.
Not next week. This week.
This week. Next 2 days from now.
2 days from now. I know.
Yeah. See y'all then.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for everything. And like I said, we'll see you. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, I should say. So, thanks a lot. See you soon.